Hey, it's Book Reports, and in this video, I want to talk about 3 reasons why you need to read Othello. The first reason is because it's a story about manipulation, and not just how to manipulate people, but how to maybe protect yourself from being manipulated. I made a past video about manipulation and lessons that we can learn from Iago in terms of maybe how to manipulate others, which we shouldn't do, but also how we can prevent or what to look out for when we are being manipulated. Also, if you're interested in the psychology of manipulation, what that means, and how a person controls a lot of people, it's not from afar, it's from very close. You get close to people to manipulate them. You don't manipulate them from a mile away. That's where you end up being once the manipulation is done. You'll be so far away, they're gonna wonder where you went. But you really got to get close to people, and that's what we learned from this story. So this story is a really great example, and I think it's a lot of psychology and just a lot of study on human behavior, human thought, human insecurities, and that's something that we all experience in our lives. The second reason is that it brings up this idea of false syllogisms. And syllogisms was this really difficult thing I learned way back in college. I remember the professor was talking about if A is B and B is C, then A is C, which sounds very mathematical. But in the context of philosophy, it created this sort of logical thinking. In this story, Iago uses a false syllogism to fool Othello and to basically get him to be very insecure. It's a very sneaky and sly line. I don't remember what act or what scene it was in, but they're talking about Desdemona's character and saying that she's very noble and she's so honest and she would never have an affair. And then Iago's like, yeah, you're right. She's so noble, she's so honest. But you know, she did lie to her dad about marrying you. That right there, that was the break in the syllogism, right? That's what allows Othello to sort of be like, well, yeah, she did lie to her father about marrying me. I guess that means she is capable of lying to even me. And that is brilliant. And so it's a commentary on just being careful about false syllogisms. It's very much a thing where it really feeds into our insecurities, and it's just a warning to be careful when you think if this means this and this means this, then that must mean that this means this. And oftentimes we generalize and we make these very quick judgments, which is in some cases very much necessary. But oftentimes when we make those quick judgments, we lose a lot of empathy, and we lose a lot of reasoning because of the hastiness of those quick conclusions. Again, this story sort of serves as a warning to that, and Iago is brilliant as a character to do this, but what we should learn is to be careful about these things that we take in our real lives. And the third thing is the intuition of women. And I know this probably in a story where it doesn't seem like women have any power in this world because it's really an all-male cast except for a few women. It was Emilia who figured out what was going on. You know, everyone else is clueless, but Emilia, who is Iago's wife, is actually the only one in the story to fully understand what was going on. And it wasn't just at the end when she figured this out. I think she kind of figured it out when she gave the handkerchief to Iago, which was Desdemona's handkerchief. She dropped it, and then Emilia picked it up and gave it to Iago, and he was so happy because he was going to plant it in Cassio's room. Emilia was the one that kind of figured this whole thing out. She knew that Iago was really sneaky. And all that to be said is that women demonstrate in this story that they have a special intuition, while the men are kind of oblivious to what's going on, and that's why Iago can play all of them so well. It's Emilia, or almost even Desdemona, who kind of figure out what's going on, what's happening in this story, and I think that should be highlighted. Again, that's not something that necessarily is talked about, and I don't know if a feminist theorist will be the one to point that out if this was under a literary discussion, but I noticed it. I noticed that out of all the characters, the two smartest to me, well, Iago, obviously, he was the smartest, but the second smartest to me, it was Emilia. you know, everyone else just they're so they may be smart, but they let their passions override their brains, and it's too bad that Amelia died. You know, Iago killed her because she was, you know, so basically explaining his plan, and he was like, okay, you have to be quiet, stop talking, and she wouldn't stop talking. And even when he ordered her to go away and to be silent, she said, you know, I know that's our normal protocol for women to be quiet and to not talk, but I gotta talk, I gotta say something, because this is crazy. What his plan was so evil and so bad, he has to be stopped. And for a wife to come out and basically put her husband on spot, you know, basically roast him in front of his peers, and reveal his big plan, it's a big deal. And so I think that should be highlighted. I think that the intuition of women should be highlighted in this story, and maybe that's something that isn't talked about, but something worth noting. So those are 3 reasons among many reasons that I think that you need to read Othello. It's a great story, a lot of interesting characters, but really a lot of psychology. Not so much action, because it's not really, there's a war going on, but there's not much else happening. A lot of it is just talking. But in that talking, we see how people can be tricked, how even ourselves as an audience, we can be tricked too. And so it's a great look into the human mind, and fear, insecurity, revenge, hatred, anger, all these emotions that are very extreme. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.